Mildred, it's me, your dad. I just flew halfway across the world to be with you, little lady.
Great. You star in Bookworm as Strawn Wise, a washed-up magician, sorry, illusionist. Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
That was that was beautiful. Yeah, Strawn is an illusionist, um, who, had prior success, that we get a sense of, but has probably he's in the sort of the failing part of his career, or maybe he doesn't have much of a career anymore. But he comes to New Zealand to be at the side of his daughter, whose mother is in the hospital, and he comes to New Zealand to sort of rescue her with all this sort of the bluster and confidence, of his past identity that ultimately gets poked through very quickly, from Mildred's character, and that sort of sets forth the dynamic of the movie, which is, Mildred, played by Nell Fisher, who's extraordinary, uh, kind of thrusting Strawn into this adventure to look for this panther, this mythical panther that may or may not exist, and the sort of hijinks that they get involved in that are way above anything he's ever experienced before. So he's kind of constantly on his back feet. It's it the intrigue for me was a few things. I'm a big fan of Aunt Timpson and Toby Harvard. I'd worked with them on another movie called Come to Daddy. Very different kind of father-son story, and very much more for adults. Where the premise of this was so intriguing that it could kind of blend some of the sensibilities that we all share, which is sort of absurd, semi-adult, dark, weird humor, mixed with a family story, of connection, and adventure too. This idea of making a movie that's out in the wilderness that tells this really fun story of adventure where the stakes are somewhat high, but and there is some danger, but it's not so intense that it's too scary for young kids to be able to watch as well with their family. So it's kind of all those elements that intrigued me, and to play a character like Strawn, is pretty delicious. He's really funny and absurd, and getting to kind of play with those elements, and break him down over the course of the film was a fun endeavor.
Mhm. Did you learn any magic tricks before filming, or do you have any favorite tricks?
I didn't actually. There are in-camera magic tricks in the film, so I didn't have to learn a specific trick. Although when I was young, I definitely learned card tricks, uh, that I've since forgotten. But for the film, I sat with a magician for about a month prior to getting to New Zealand. This guy called Mike Pisciato, who's amazing. He is an incredible close-up magician. And my primary concern was just dexterity. Anytime that I'm handling cards, that it looks like I know what I'm doing, just how to hold them, how to fan them, how to shuffle them. So that was my primary concern. And just worked on that while, for that month prior, and then while I was in New Zealand as well, just had cards with me all the time. So that was it. Just so that at any time that my character is handling cards, it just looks like I'm not a total amateur.
Your character makes references to David Blaine, the real-life popular American magician. Have you shown him the movie yet?
I don't know that David Blaine has seen it, nor is he aware of it. But he probably will be aware of it somewhat soon, in that it's coming out. But no, I don't think he's seen it yet. Not
Well, you mentioned this earlier, but you have worked with both Aunt Timpson and Michael Smiley previously on Come to Daddy.
that.
What was it like working with them both again and also working alongside your young co-star, Nell Fisher?
Oh man, it was great. We all creatively had a blast on Come to Daddy. So Toby Harvard, the writer, Ann Timpson, the director, was a dear friend. Michael Smiley, like you said, um, Dan Katz, who shot Come to Daddy as well. So this was very much a kind of getting the band back together, on this film, and the premise of that was really exciting. That we could just kind of get these shared like-minded individuals back together again on a different endeavor, and this time in the wilds of New Zealand. So that in and of itself, I was sold. Um, and then to get a chance to work with Michael again. I'm a huge Michael Smiley fan. I think He's such an extraordinary actor. He is a beautiful human being, one of the best storytellers I've ever met in my life. And we got a little bit more to do together in this film than we had in Come to Daddy. So that was really thrilling that we could kind of have a little bit more meat to sort of enjoy together. And that was a thrill because I didn't get a lot of that with him in Come to Daddy. And then with Nell, I mean, listen, Nell's the heart of the movie. She drives the film. That character, uh, dynamic between her and Strawn, and then just her own kind of wisdom, energy, sort of precociousness, really is the engine that drives the movie and the story. Um, and so no small task, right? And she came to the film with such enthusiasm and preparedness and delightfulness that it just made all of our jobs easier. And she was just a wonderful person to be around. We had a blast. It was incredible, and she is not unlike her character. You know, she regaled us with like a word of the day every day on our own. Words that are incredibly obscure that I've since forgotten. But she holds knowledge extremely well in a way that I do not have that capacity. Yeah, we just had a blast. She's incredible.
So most of this movie takes place in the New Zealand wilderness, which is
Mhm.
also where Lord of the Rings was filmed. What was it like filming outdoors in New Zealand again, and how did that compare to your time filming Lord of the Rings?
It was incredible. I had been missing New Zealand. I hadn't been in 9 years, which was crazy. So, part of the appeal of this film too was that we could go to New Zealand, shoot this film outside in the wilderness, and I could bring my family. My wife is a producer on the movie. Got to bring my kids. So that was really thrilling too, that I could share this place that is so special to me, that means so much to me with my family for the first time. And the idea that a majority of the movie would be shot outside in the wilderness, in such beautiful, unbelievable landscapes was really thrilling, and it was a wonderful place to be for a couple of months. And I miss it. I miss it now. It's an incredible place. It's really magical, and so much of that is captured on film beautifully in the movie.
Mhm. And do you have a favorite memory or scene while filming?
Um, Favorite memory or scene? Well, there's a couple. I mean, I think that one of the last days of shooting, we did a helicopter day.
Mhm.
Nell and I would go up in a helicopter and then be sort of plopped onto some remote piece of New Zealand wilderness or scenery, um, and walk around. And so that day we got to go to so many beautiful places, giant tops of hilltops, and frozen lakes, and it was just extraordinary, and every place was so different from the next. So that was a really kind of magical day of just experiencing the true majesty of the country. And one of the locations, we could actually see the plateau that Edoras from Lord of the Rings was shot on. So I was like, there it is. There was Edoras. Uh, and then, you know, there's a scene in the movie, the first introduction to Strawn, where he tries to pull off this card trick, and Mildred sort of just like shoots him down. That scene was really fun to shoot and foundational. Like for me, I put almost the most amount of pressure on that particular scene for Strawn, just because it's the scene where he's at his most confident and his most of the past. And it was just important that I get those things right. And the shooting of it was really fun, really fun.
Mhm. And last but certainly not least, there are a lot of rumors circulating around when the next Animal Crossing game will be released by Nintendo. Will you be playing it if and when it comes out?
I mean, I'm sure. Well, listen, I think there's they're at the end of their cycle probably a couple times over now with the Switch. So there is also sort of a feeling that there's going to be a new console announced. That should be interesting, and maybe that'll coincide. But yeah, of course.
I'm sure fans will love to see you on there again. Well, it was so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for your time and for this interview today.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you too.